Cody, Chase, big fan, but we don't do intros here. Let's get right into a trade. So we're looking at a 12-team Superflex PPR with a 1.75 tight end premium, start 10. Amon-Ra St. Brown or Puka Nakua, a 24 second and a 25 second. Let's start with you, Chase.
So the way I'm going to look at this, I mean, obviously best player in the deal for a start 10 is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. I love what Puka has done, but again, hashtag is it sustainable? One of those things that we talk about. And then the 2 seconds. So when I really look at this, it's like, is Puka worth a first right now? I'd say probably is. So first and 2 seconds for Amon-Ra, it feels good. If Puka can sustain, like it's really gonna work out. I think this is good value if Puka does sustain, but I'm going to go with Amon-Ra here. I want to take the known commodity, what I know in Amon-Ra. Everyone's doubted him. I mean, well, I guess Puka is the new age Amon-Ra here, so I'll take Amon-Ra and then give up those other 2 seconds.
Yeah, I'm going to echo the same statements. Like basically what you need to win this trade is Puka has to become Amon-Ra. Otherwise, it's just 2 seconds. And what do those really do for you? When I'm talking about a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's a locked in top 10 dynasty wide receiver right now, I just got to take that side because the only thing I'm having to give up to get to that would be the 2 seconds if I was on the other side. So sure, like I'll take the 2-week sample size. I love what I've seen. I'd be buying some Puka right now, but I'm not down tiering off of Amon-Ra, who I know is that player already.
So let me ask you this. If it were a start 11, does that make it a little bit more interesting? And then you're also looking into your team structure and kind of where you are in the standings and stuff. Does that even make a difference, 10 to 11?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it does. As you get to 11 and 12, especially, you have to consider it. Again, team dynamic is important. If you're a contender and you want the sure thing points, yeah, give me Amon-Ra. But if I'm a retooling and I'm just looking to accumulate assets, then I could see taking Puka in the 2 seconds.
So last thing on this trade, we have a bunch of subscribers, a bunch of tribe members, as we call them, who do play in 1 QB leagues and shallow leagues. Okay. So if we're talking a shallow 1 QB league, a 10-team start 8, are you tacking on a first to Puka for Amon-Ra St. Brown? Is Amon-Ra enough of a hammer, or are you going up above him?
Amon-Ra's the hammer for me. Yeah, I'm going to throw on that first, unless it looks like it's probably top like 3 for me. I would have to say where that first projects to lie. I'll just throw the first on because you're talking no first round quarterbacks. I don't even care if it's Caleb Williams next year. I don't think he's worth the first round quarterback pickup in a 1 QB league. I just purely don't. And so no, like there's very few firsts even that actually matter in those type of formats. So I'll gladly tack on a first, especially if it looks to be back end.
Yep.
Same for you, Chase.
I completely agree. When you're looking at contending teams in 1 QB, those back end first or those mid first just don't mean a whole lot. It's easier for me to just give those up and it looks pretty, right? Like I'm giving you a first and it's like sold.
Exactly. It's got a 1 in front of it. Okay, Cody, let's start with you, man. Let's get a little baseline on you guys. So what we're going to do, we're going to talk Dynasty, obviously, engage with our crowd here, talk a lot of trades. But at the end, we're going to go over your YouTube channel, kind of dig into it a little bit. They showed me a little behind the scenes, behind the curtains look at it. So we'll chat about that. But let's get a baseline. Cody, how many Dynasty leagues do you play in?
I have ramped myself up to 12 now. I'm a little bit newer in terms of just like expanding the portfolio game at this point, but we've got it up to 12 this season. And honestly, it's already a grind. So I don't know if I'm getting much higher than that. I think I'm at a pretty good number there with that 12, but I love that I've been able to expand it to that this year.
Nice.
And then for me, I'm in about 20. I've really ramped up again this offseason. I think I was in about 12 to 15 last year. And so I added a bunch this offseason to get up there. And as you start expanding your portfolio, it gets tough to manage, but it's been fun. I absolutely love the game. Different formats just makes it so much more enticing. It'll suck me into a league. You'll get me to buy in if you have a fun league format.
So look at that. He naturally segues right into this. And we have a show sheet. We don't have a show sheet. Do we prep beforehand? No. He's just on point. That Chase guy. What's your favorite format, Chase? Number of teams, Superflex, tight end premium, number of starters, all that good stuff.
I mean, I won't do anything less than 12 teams. So a 12 and 14 team ideally is what I'm looking at. Superflex is pretty much a must at this point. I like a 175 tight end premium. I like fun scoring. So I like you give me a 0.25 per carry. You give me tiered PPR where you have like, half point per reception for running backs, et cetera. Love those types of formats. And then if you can have any big play bonuses, some big play bonuses get a little too wild, but I just like fun scoring that makes you really think and analyze a league in a different way versus just your standard scoring type formats.
I'll go into mine. For me, it's got to be 12 team as well. Has to be super flex. I've only got one QB league. It's my first dynasty league, so it holds a little special place in my heart, and it's tanking, so I can't punt it off yet. But it's got to get up back to the rebuild. But no, it's got to be a 12-team super flex at least. It can go up a little bit further than that. But, you got to have the tier PPR. I agree. I like the 0.51 and then a 2 for the tight ends to make them just even matter that much more, especially the ones like Kelsey that I absolutely love. So we got to go into that. And then I've actually been a little bit just to break away from that one and those type of formats that I really like. The one that I've only in one in yet, and I might actually join some more of, is the one at each position and everything else is flex and then a super flex league. And you're starting, well, also to go to that, you need at least like 10 starters minimum. I prefer to go to 12. And I think for both of us at this point, it's almost got to be best ball. I still have a split of 4 out of my 12 leagues or lineup, but everything from here on out is best ball.
It's just so much easier to manage. Much easier to manage, and you still have the option to trade all year if you want to. I'm in a couple dynasty best ball leagues, and there's no action on it. I mean, it's just dead. But I don't play in a lot of competitive dynasty best ball leagues. Let's say, what am I talking about? I just joined 2 that are way more expensive than I should have joined. Anyway, I regress. So yeah, awesome. So let's move on to this super chat right here. Jonathan Lee, thank you very much. 10-team Superflex PPR start 9. Are you serious? This is like almost what I came up with before the show. Give Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Puka, Miles. Get Justin Jefferson and Monty. So 10-team start 9.
Cody, go first.
It's Justin Jefferson. I don't care. I don't care if it's Amon-Ra, St. Brown. I don't care if it's Puka. You're telling me it's a 10-team start 9? No, you have to give me an entire roster of startable players to get Justin Jefferson. Right. No, it's that and Monty. Monty's to throw in just a nice little cherry on top.
I mean, you could even argue Monty and Miles kind of cancel each other out, even though there's the injury to Monty. Give me Jets and Monty. I'm good. I'm good with that in a start 9, 10-team for sure. Hammer, hammer, hammer.
Yeah, you have the ability to tack on more if necessary, but if this is the offer we're looking at, yes, please. So we're gonna go to this question here. Here, let me hide that one. We go to this question here. Alex got into the stream super early when I initially set it up, and asks if your team is designed to tank, but somehow you're 3-1. So I guess there's some league median action that he's playing. When do you decide to pivot and spend picks to win?
I'll go on this one. I don't think you actually spend the picks to win yet. I would need to at least probably get to about week 6 and still be within those probably top 3 teams to start spending picks. What I like to do whenever I see that, it might be designed to win, but you're only tanking 1 pick. At the end of the day, it's pushing other picks that I probably own down the board. And so what I'd like to try to do there is, even if it doesn't fully get to contention this year, put yourself in the best position to contend next year. So even if you're just barely making the playoffs, it probably doesn't matter. Just park your assets and people that are going to come back next year. I'll park my assets in the Jonathan Taylors right now. That's where I'd like to actually spend that capital. So maybe not fully push in this year yet, unless I'm in that top 3 whenever it gets to like week 6, week 7 and beyond. I'll make that pivot a little bit later and actually really try to put my team in the best possible position to contend in 2024.
Yeah, what about you, Chase?
Absolutely love that. And Cody, like, this is like a prime example. Cody did this in Royal Rumble to 14 teams. So it's 28 team, 2 copies. So essentially 14 team leagues. And he built up a bunch of capital and he was able to add, a plethora of assets this offseason, getting Bijan. I mean, he's now a true contender in this league. But you have to be selective with the players that you do decide to buy. You mentioned JT who could, again, be valuable this year, but again, you're looking at next year. So you still want to acquire assets that are still focused on your future build, but still could help you in 2023. That's kind of the mindset you have to have. I wouldn't be going out and buying a bunch of Devontae Adams unless you are truly like, you end up being the top 3 team. And I'd say week 5, week 6, like patience is hard. I think that's one of the toughest things to have in Dynasty is patience to make the right moves and patience to make, to move picks. You think you're going to miss out on deals by waiting, but you're not. Like, you will find the right deal when the time comes. Just have that patience, and you'll find what you're looking for.
Yeah, it's just wild. Every day when I'm thinking about a dynasty, just how fast paced it is now. That whole, we used to always hear 2 to 3 year window. Everything you hear is 2 to 3 year window. Yeah, right. It's like a quarter by quarter on a game. It's bonkers. So look at this one from Custom Cali Tools 99. Thank you for the question. It's a tight end premium. He says 1.5 for tight ends, PPR for everyone else, super flex. Trade Mark Andrews and a 24 first for Chase. Okay, so let's just assume he didn't list it. Let's say it's 10 team and it's start 9. 1.5 tight end premium.
10 teams start 9. I'll still take the Chase. I'm not as big of a Chase. Like, I don't think he's up at the Justin Jefferson level. I think there's a little bit of a tier gap there, and we're seeing it this year. Just one Joe Burrow injury and everybody starts to panic already. Yep. But this is why you can get this type of deal done. The 1.5 tight end premium isn't enough for me. Now, if you are talking about a 10-team league, though, you do need that like positional advantage at the tight end. It matters a lot more, but I still think I'm going with Chase here.
I feel the same way. I think that this is probably a cheap price to acquire a hammer. Like, I think you'll look back, you're buying low at the time being because of the Burrow injury. Chase has struggled out the gate this year. Again, we're in such a reactionary dynasty landscape right now that people are kind of panicked. Mark Andrews has had a rough start himself with injury and things like that too. So it depends on where that first is. I would say that much. I mean, if it's a top, if it's a non-playoff pick, it makes me think a little bit more, but I think I'm still going to go with Chase for this.
So I'm going to ask a really broad question right here. So Chase, we'll start with you. What's your strategy when it comes to dynasty, or your philosophy or your tendencies? Are you a get this first out of my face kind of guy? Like, hey, I just want to contend, balls to the wall, scorch to the wall. What's your style, man?
So, I mean, Cody and I, both smiled when we heard this question because we think a lot alike. We used to say like, oh yeah, we dynasty in a 2 to 3 year window, thinking that like, yeah, this is a short window. We're win now focused. I'm win now focused. When I'm doing startups, like I am focused on, my quarterback room, wide receiver room. And then I like to acquire, different ways to build my running backs and my tight end room, because they're attainable. So that's kind of like my focus. I do go win now. I don't necessarily like get rid of my pick all the time. I'm patient in different scenarios with that because you have to know your league and the people that you're in there with, because that first is just a liquid asset. And at any given time, you can acquire what you're looking for. So sometimes patience. You find the right time to move that first.
It's win now. That's the only way, at least from the startup. That's the only way I will ever build a startup again. There's been one that I tried to do a little bit more of like the middle or rebuild, retool year one. It ended up working out decently well. I had zero fun doing it though. It's winning. Like I don't care. We call this game Dynasty, but from where I sit now, like this is no longer Dynasty. You don't do the constructive rebuild to sit and try to win for 5 years in a row. What I'd like to call this game now, it's franchise mode. Either I'm winning this year or I'm retooling for next. Like that's the only two outcomes that I personally have. And so no, it's either I go in and now it's a failed contender that I got to try to figure out how to retool it and get back to contention, or I'm just winning this year. And we're trying to hit the playoffs every single year with every single team, unless it goes so badly that you do have to scorched earth it. But then again, I'm still only looking for a 2-year out to get back to contention.
Love it. Yeah, I just drafted in our squirt league that we jammed in before the league started. I was like, I'm going YOLO. I'm just going to draft a ton of points. I'm going to get some hammers. Of course, Travis Kelce was one of them, so missed him week 1. Then Eckler's on there. Just like drafting the hammer old people hasn't worked so well just yet for those teams for me, but stay course, right? Keenan Allen's doing his thing, baby. He doesn't have any resale value. He's not a liquid asset.
There's a way to do it too. Like there's a way to do it. Like drafting all age can come back and bite you, right? Like if these injuries happen, we see Nick Chubb and unfortunately for him, like those types of injuries can decimate a roster, and like now they have no trade value because of their age. But if you do get the, if you are a little more conservative early, get the right players to kind of roster construct in the right way,
Right.
those aging assets will still have value. And then you can kind of assess your team. Like if you have to sell Eckler at some point, or if you have to sell Kelsey, they still have trade value in season. You just have to be able to make that move. And that's the toughest thing as a dynasty manager, is to sell away a hammer.
Yeah, it was it was tough too. In that league, I did keep my first in the startup. I was like, I'm gonna keep my first, just hedge that way. I think this year in all my leagues, I'm gonna be more apt to trade away my 24 firsts if I think they're after the top 6, just because they always get crapped on. But anyway, what I was getting at is in this league, I kept my first, and then as much as it pained me to trade away DK Metcalf, I was able to the other day trade Metcalf for Marvin Mims and a 24 first. It felt like a godsend offer to me. I'm looking at this team. It's 0-2. It's like, man, I need a little bit of leverage. I need something else in my back pocket. I love DK Metcalf. Can't ever quit him. But what do you think about that one? 12 team, super flex, start 11, all that fancy stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect hedge bet for where you're at right now. Like it is the issue of playing like that. You have to notice where your team is headed quick. Otherwise it will go to, like, I have a team that honestly I didn't manage last year that I drafted, and it was a win now failed contender, and it looks, I don't know how I'm going to rebuild it, honestly. Like it's going to be a rough rebuild to come out of it, because I'm sitting on a bunch of like Melvin Gordon, Zeke's, Leonard Fournette's, Dalvin Cooks, and I'm like, this is going to be hard to get out of, because none of these guys have the value to recoup it anymore. But you have to be on it whenever you do go that way. You have to be on it quick. And in most leagues I am, but that was one that slipped through the cracks. But I do love that as a hedge bet just for the future.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all either. I think Mims is a good bet too for the future. He's the first draft pick in Sean Payton's era. I know he didn't get a ton of snap count this week, but he obviously produced in those few snaps he was out there. Russ has looked better this year. I like that bet on Mims, long term, and then getting a first back as well. It gives you another liquid asset to do something with, either in season or even in the off season.
Yeah, that's one thing I struggle with, and we're going to hit some questions from we've got some questions from our Discord and also in the crowd here, but I'm going to be selfish with one more here real quick. I stink. I play in one or two. I play in 2 start 9s. Okay. And for the life of me, I don't have the guts to package up a bunch of depth to get a hammer. I'm so concerned about depth in a shallow format. Now, okay, so I know how to play in different formats, right? Luckily, I listen to Shane. I'm in between Shane and Scott every week, but I still have trouble packaging up 3 or 4 players for one and maybe a pick in a start 9. Tell me that it's okay if I have just trash cans outside of my starting lineup.
It's fine. You do it. It's start 9. I mean, I only play in start 10 and beyond, but as much as it may hurt, most of the pieces that you're probably packaging up don't have long insulated shelf life either. And so you have as long as you're buying into pieces that are long insulated shelf life, only 3 running backs do currently right now. It's Bijan, it's Brees, and it's Gibbs. Like those are the only 3. So I'm not trading up to go to anything other than that. But any of like the top 12 wide receivers, those are the quarterbacks and the top 3 tight ends, and Kelsey, Andrews, and Hawkinson. I honestly don't consider Pitts there anymore. As long as it's one of those pieces, I'm fine with tearing up anything.
Yeah, it's start 9 lineup leagues. I want to lock in my team as much as I possibly can. I want, kind of set and forget as much as possible, where for as long as they continue to do what they do. Of course, there's down weeks, but what your lineup is, and it's a safe bet for the most part. And the last thing you want to do is be like, I had a tough start decision this week, and I I started the wrong guy. So it's like, if I can acquire something where I know what I'm starting, I'm doing it every time.
Yeah, I think it was Scott and Shane. They were talking about that the other day in a show. Is you get yourself into this bind where you have a bunch of middling assets. Like, which one do I start? And you're screwed. The problem is you have all of them on your roster in the first place. Yeah, let's go to this one right here. Matt Jones has what moves do you make? So he's giving us this raw team here, and we're going to turn him around here in 2.5 minutes, let's call it. 10 teams, Superflex, start 9, PPR, no tight end premium. What moves would you make? Daniel Jones, Russell Wilson, CJ Stroud, Kenny Pickett at QB, Bijan, JJ, Javante, Zach Moss is making lists at running back. Diggs, Waddle, London, Judy, Addison, McLaurin, Ingram, Musgrave, and Schultz at tight end. Okay, so it's a 10-team start 9. The 2 start 9s I'm in are at least 12-team, but this is ultra shallow. 10-team start 9.
It's the ultra shallow format. I personally have no desire to hold 4 quarterbacks on this team. So any of those that I can tier up to get to a higher level of quarterback, that's the first thing that I'm doing. You've got 4 guys that look like they're probably outside of the top 12 for me. And so I'm trying to pair up the Jones and Wilson to move up into the top 12, the Stroud and Pickett to move up into the top 12, just spamming it for anybody that's inside of that top 8 right now. The running back room looks good, but again, I don't know in the 10-team start 9, is it good enough to get you to winning? Probably not with the stuff that's around it. The Diggs, Waddle, London looks good. The wide receiver room looks good. You don't have a hammer at tight end, unfortunately. So I'm just trying to tier up anything here. It's tier up the QBs first, and then tier up my tight end position is what I'm looking to do here.
So I'm looking at this, and my first thought is, again, 10-team start 9, that this is probably not a contender. This team has probably struggled out the gate. London hasn't played great. Judy up and down. Addison, like if you're making start-sit decisions, Danny Dimes has really struggled. You had some rough weeks, is my guess. And the youth that you have on here makes me think it's a younger team as well. I would be packaging up. I'm with you, Cody. I'd be willing to go Dimes, Wilson, and Pickett. Keep Stroud. Stroud showed, early enough that he can produce for fantasy. Like I'd see what I can do to get into the top 12 at quarterback, so you can lock down 2 quarterbacks. And then I'm with the wide receiver side. London, Judy, Addison, McLaurin. Can you package them up to get anything as well?
Three of them to get one. Yeah.
Yep.
3 for
truly,
1 there.
Again, you're giving up depth and things like that. But if this is, again, I'm making the assumption that this is a retooling team. I'm probably looking to sell Bijan, Taylor, Javante. I mean, Zach Moss, I love that you put him in here. That just
I know, right? He makes the list.
But it's a non-tight end premium. I'm good with your tight end room. I like Ingram a lot. I think he's, undervalued for what he actually does. So I'm fine with your tight end room, but I'd be looking to acquire, some liquid assets, or maybe even using those running backs to acquire some more studs in the wide receiver room. I would just explore those types of options if you are in fact in that retool mode.
So going into last week, to me, it felt like going into this week, Justin Fields feels like it's a major week for his dynasty value. Last week, I thought it was Drake London. And of course he does, what did he have? Like 70 yards or something like that, but had a touchdown somewhere around there. His dynasty value was hinging last week. So it seemed. Whose dynasty value is in jeopardy this week that you're really watching, that you're maybe even trying to jam sell before Sunday? Go ahead.
So I'm going to start off with it because you mentioned a name that I've taken some heat for takes that have been out there from the pod, and that's Justin Fields. I've now found out that I actually do hate Justin Fields more than Jay Rich from Destination Devy. I am the king at the top of the mountain as the Justin Fields haters. I am there and I am alone. However, I don't sell this week because of what we just saw from Justin Fields. It's going against a tough Kansas City Chiefs defense. However, everything he just said in his press conference and all of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes and the front office organization stuff, Justin Fields is going out there and he just said, I'm playing too robotic. He's going to go back to what he was doing, which is still not winning football games, but he's going to go back to actually just running the ball because they were trying to make him play from the pocket. And that's not what Justin Fields can actually do well in the NFL. He can run. It's not going to lead to a sustainable future. But I think for week 3 against the Kansas City Chiefs, he's actually going to get back to that like 50 plus rushing yards and people are going to buy right back in. So I think it's a big week for Justin Fields to not sell yet. I obviously don't have any. Those ones were gone 2 years ago, but I'm not selling yet, but I think you can sell after next week.
There's a couple names stand out to me, and unfortunately one just played. So Daniel Jones, I mean, everyone thought he got his contract and he was gonna have himself a season. I was on that boat too. Like I have a ton of Danny Dimes. I mean, I traded off of Fields and got Danny Dimes a first and a third type of deal, a first and a second type deal. Like I was trying everything I could to get off of Fields and move into Danny Dimes, and it has been a rough go. I mean, there's other circumstances in that offense, but
Yep.
Right now, his dynasty value is just in flux. If you believe in him, this could be a time to buy. I personally do believe, and so I'm not out on him, but his dynasty value is hanging in the balance just because of how reactionary we are. And it hasn't happened yet. But I'm going to take a ton of heat for this, but Puka Nacua, give me another week or so here, and his dynasty value is going to hang in the balance. I mean, what didn't he jump up to wide receiver 13 and keep trade cut this week? Like something ridiculous.
He's right on the 20 edge last time I checked.
I have to pull this up here while we're talking about this. But yeah, no, like I think his value is one that could absolutely shift on the drop of a dime. He has a bad week. He has a clunker.
Absolutely.
You know, once Cup comes back, you know, maybe you have some thoughts about trying to capitalize on what value you do have in Puka.
So here's a question for you guys. We always say, as you know, and you guys have said it too, hammers in shallow format. So a start 9. And we don't even worry about depth guys. We just try to package all of them up. But who could be a sneaky depth guy who could actually become relevant in a start 9? We're just throwing all these players to the side. Oh, we'll tear up. We'll package them all day. But who's one where you're like, I don't know. It could be a Puka, kind of type. Go ahead, Chase. You got one on your mind?
I don't have one that comes immediately to mind. The first thing that comes to mind is George Pickens. Everyone talks about George Pickens, and it makes me laugh because I don't believe in that. But
what about like Jaden Reed? I mean, obviously he had a game, but like his type is kind of the vibe I'm asking for here. Cody, do you got anybody in mind?
I'll go with guys that I would never roster personally in a start 9, even still. But we've seen it come up, and I think that he can step into a true number 2 role quicker than most people think. And I'm going to go with a guy. He's balled out a couple times, but it's Rashid Shaheed. I think long term he could actually be the wide receiver number 2 in New Orleans. And if they do move on from Carr, I know it hasn't looked pretty there, but Chris Olave is going to need a number 2 alongside of him, and I actually think Shaheed can fill that role. So that would be one, maybe, like, as long as the benches are deep enough with it, which they probably aren't. Maybe that's a guy that you can stash at the end of it.
I do have one now as well.
Go for it.
Nico Collins. Nico Collins is kind of a deeper guy that, he could be the number 1 and sustain a number 1 option on that team. So that's one I'm definitely monitoring. Start 9, it does make it a little tougher, but he's one I'd definitely keep on the radar for sure.
Yeah, somebody put in the so we use the community tab on YouTube a lot, or at least I do. When I'm posting, hey, we've got a live stream coming up, and they leave our community, our tribe members leave questions in the comments. And there was one tonight. I'm looking for it. Yeah, Zay Flowers or JSN?
I'm still JSN. I mean, I know you're looking fantasy value this year, and yes, Zay Flowers most likely will outproduce JSN, but I still believe in the talent of JSN. We've seen him have his moments in that offense, but he is still the number 3 option this year. So, it's kind of a team specific move. If you're looking for points this year, I do still believe that Zay Flowers will have some solid dynasty value. But I think JSN will get his chance to shine, and it most likely will be next year, or an injury will have to occur.
Difference for me is, are you saying that I have to hold this player for the next 3 years, or can I have him as an actual asset that I'm able to move around? If I have an asset that I'm able to move around, I'll take Zay Flowers. We see how reactionary this game is. JSN is probably going to finish outside of the top 40 wide receivers this year. And Zay Flowers could actually finish within the top 20. And what do you think the sentiment is going to be? Even though JSN has the name, DK Metcalf's still going to be there. I honestly think they still bring back Tyler Lockett. What do you think the sentiment is when we cut this time next year? Zay Flowers is going to be the higher dynasty ranked wide receiver. And so I'll just buy into the value if you're going to tell me that I can actually use him as an asset.
But are they the types that you'd tear up and down from all day?
Oh, yeah. You give me any plus on either side.
Yeah. Right.
Agreed.
I'm looking at this question here. It's from Mystical Child Official YouTube. Is a Superflex Dynasty player. So we're gonna put it up here. Got my attention there. People know to put weird question, and that attracts my eyes and gets it started. But this one got me this time. So Mystical Child Official YouTube asks, 12-team Superflex, full PPR, start 10. Came in trying to tank, currently 0-2. Roster is Russ, Bryce, Stroud, Brees, JT, Lamb, Waddle, London, Mooney, Jaden Reed, Laporta, Bellinger. Has a couple 24 firsts. What move, if any, should I look to make? Thanks so much.
First thing I look at here is quarterback. That is not good enough. I don't like rookie QBs at all. I don't care. Like, I've already stated my claims on Caleb Williams once in this show, and he's going to come in as like quarterback 6 when he should probably be outside the top 12 next year. But no, I'm looking to move off these guys. I know Bryce isn't doing good, but Stroud's gaining a lot of buzz right now. Package Stroud in first, package Russ in first. The quarterback room is what needs to be settled here first. I'm almost trying to see if he was like came into the season trying to tank, though, because it's still a good squad. Like, I don't think this is a team that's actually bad enough to get to the bottom. It's still got pieces. So I'm almost thinking maybe he was not trying to tank. But what I'm doing here is like, hopefully the first, aren't mine. Can I find a team that's worse than me probably in this league and pick up their first instead of my own? But the quarterback here, and then up tiering at least one more wide receiver is probably where I'm starting.
Yeah, I think whenever I look at retooling, or if you are trying to tank this year, I want no part of running backs on my team. I have zero problem trading away Brees and JT for this squad, especially. I know that they have great names. We've seen them produce. They're flashy special assets in some people's eyes, but that's why you trade them. That's why you move away. Continue to build that wide receiver room. I do like Lamb. I think Lamb and Waddle are good, a good little core to start with. Maybe you can look to move one of those guys into the wide receiver room, or even packaging up, Brees with the quarterback and a pick to try and get yourself the upgrade that you're looking for at the quarterback position. But I just use those assets as flux assets that I can move into whatever position I'm looking for my long-term development.
You're so well spoken for my long-term development. But he just finished work too. He's looking.
I did. I'm still in the zone.
Love it. Joey says, I remember when this channel was literally Dynasty Trades in 5. Yes, I do as well. Almost 2 years. We're going to celebrate our 2-year anniversary on October 6th with a super stream. Yeah. Thank you. It's gonna be fun. We'll definitely promote that more. Jesse has a super chat for us. Thank you very much. 12 teams start 13. Super flex, tight end premium. Dak, Anthony Richardson, Javonte, Rashad White, Tajay Spears, CEH makes lists. Lamb, Hollywood, Mooney, Hyatt, Josh Downs. Hawkinson at tight end, 224 first. Here is a trade offered to Jesse. Lamb for 24 first and George Pickens. So give Lamb, get 24 first and Pickens.
Unless that 24 first is like a locked and loaded, just top 3 pick, I don't want it. I'm taking Lamb. I know it's a start 13. I just have no belief in George Pickens. And this may be my own personal bias. It's going to be inconsistency is his problem. I just don't believe in it in lineup. You're going to be starting a 0 sometimes. You're going to have some weeks like last week where he breaks a 71-yard touchdown. That's just kind of how you live and die with George Pickens. But I think I'm going to keep Lamb unless that 24 first is like top 3, maybe top 4. Like, you can secure that.
I think it has to be top 2 for me to even consider it. Lamb's the top 3 dynasty wide receiver in my mind. George Pickens is outside the top 24. I don't care that it's start 13. You got to give me a lot more than George Pickens to get me interested here.
Start 13s. They're so gross. Did you guys play in any lineup start 13s? Did you play in any of those, or start 12? So bad. So bad. You're just like praying for like one touch out of some random running back. You're like, let's go DJ Dallas.
Happy to have Tyler Boyd there, right?
Oh, started Matt Breida this week, and he got me 10 points. I'm loving life.
There you go. One of my kids cost me a Brandon Ayuk start in one of my leagues. I was like, no, I do not want to read Mighty instruction site anymore, dude. Come on. No, but it worked out fine. Luckily, I projected to hammer that team this week. I say that now. Let's knock on some wood. Guys, talk to me about so the Fantasy Draft Room, your YouTube channel. I love the series that you guys just started, but you guys could speak more eloquently about it. Talk about this series that you just started that you're going to go through every week this season.
Yeah, so unfortunately we started at week 2. We didn't get on at week 1.
Hey, you got on it though. You got
one
on
more
it,
week
man.
to plan it. It just needed a little bit more refinement to go into week 2. But what we're doing is everybody's doing a start sit show. Everybody's going to do theirs. They're going to talk through it. They're going to give you the stats and projections and the team matchups and everything. But we're the fantasy draft room. We got to do something a little bit different. We're not just going to tell you, you got to start Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen this week. We got to make it fun somehow, twist it up, and it's got to be in the form of a draft. So what we're doing is each and every week, me and Chase go head to head, and you got to pick a full roster, and we're actually playing against each other head to head every week. For our starts, you got to pick a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end inside the top 12 at quarterback and tight end, or inside the top 24 at wide receiver and running back. And then on the sits show, you got to do the opposite. You got to pick somebody, or I'm flipping it up now as I'm talking through this. But basically, it's in or outside of the top 12 or 24, you got to pick a start and sits. And we're actually going to have like a head-to-head matchup, review who scores more points each week. We're going to track the series all the way through the season. So we're just trying to find a way to have a little bit more fun with it, make it actual competition, which is what we love to do. We're not just going to come up here and tell you the top guys to start and sit every week. We're going to make it a little bit challenging for us.
I love Tyreek Hill this week. Yeah.
Right.
Tough one. Go in there and just say that. And anything to add on to that, Chase?
Yeah, just want to say the easiest way to think of it is sits are going to be, good players that we think are going to have clunkers. The starts are going to be your kind of sleeper picks that we're trying to project that are going to have big weeks. Best way to kind of think of that one.
Yep.
So if you have tough start sit decisions, definitely tap in.
Good stuff. Well, yeah, we'll hear more about the fantasy draft room when we look at your YouTube channel here. We had another. This is great from Shane here. Clay, pitch the Patreon. Yeah, so we have a Patreon. It's under me if you see the banner if you're watching on YouTube. Patreon.com/allgas. We have our own Dynasty Trades in 5 tier with a private Discord, live AMAs with Shane and Scott. Get your Dynasty trade questions answered around the clock, and discounts on roster reviews, all sorts of stuff. Go to destinationdevy.com and check out the Destination 5 tier, though. It is a combo tier with Ray's Destination Devy Heisman tier, is what it was called, plus ours. You get it all in one. Definitely a hammer tier right there. And discounts on merch. We're going to do all sorts of stuff. I don't know if Ray knows the discount on merch thing. Hold me to that, though. All
right. Shane is seriously the most active person in that Discord now since that thing has been launched. It's been awesome to have you guys over there. Shane is literally in there like every time I check while I'm at work, and I don't check at work, but every time I do, it's always Shane responding to something over there. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, he lives in there. He lives in there for sure. And we're excited to be partnered with Destination Devy now, obviously. Let's hit a question from Sean here. Thank you for the super sticker. Get a mid to late 24 first and 25 second for Puka. Yes or no? Bye. Cody's waving bye-bye. Yep. Chase is saying bye-bye. I am echoing that.
Yeah. Unless this is like a 1Q. I mean, I guess even 1 QB leagues. I think I'm still just going to take that profit and run.
I don't know what type of league format you would have to play in where this isn't a smash accept. The most that I've seen is a 24 first for Puka, and now you're giving me the second as well. So free real estate.
Yeah, I mean it's all cash. Like when you got Puka, it's all house money now that you're playing with, right? Let's go to another one here. I saw the Mystical Child official YouTube. We should go to the Mystical Child YouTube.
We should review theirs.
Yeah, right. Let's go here to MG Edits. 12 teams start 9 Superflex PPR have Bryce Young, Daniel Jones, Kyler. All running backs are trash. DJ Moore, Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, Mark Andrews have 24 firsts, 2 of them. Any suggestions? Trade one of the QBs.
Chase, I'll let you go first on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna guess you're tanking. Trash trash running backs, and your best wide receivers are gonna be Garrett Wilson, DJ Moore. Like you're gonna have a rough season here. I'm not giving up my own first if I'm this team. I have a feeling you're going to be towards the bottom. You may want to wait that out and see if that does in fact become the 101. Then you have a locked and loaded trade asset, what could be Caleb or Marv or whatever quarterback does end up going up to the top of the NFL draft. So I definitely hold on to mine. Maybe if you trade the other first along with Bryce Young or Daniel Jones, I just don't know what you can get right now that's going to improve for Daniel Jones. But I'd start shopping there. There's part of me that wants to just wait and then trade Mark Andrews. I think would be the ones that I'd be more apt to do. I just have no need for Mark Andrews on this team, and he's probably a guy that still has solid dynasty value. Wait it out, let him have a good game, get rid of him.
Chase, we agree 95% of the time on what we do. I could not disagree with you more here on Mark Andrews, though.
Finally.
This is bad. Like I have a team that's almost built out that looks like this now because I just lost J.K. Dobbins, Nick Chubb, and Deontay all within the first 2 weeks. Yep. Team got decimated within the first 3 weeks. And I have a Lamar and Mark Andrews stack. And I said, punt this team into the sun. And within 24 hours, I got 3 people in my inbox. Hey, what do you want from Mark Andrews? What do you want from Mark Andrews? What do you want from Mark Andrews? You know what he is? He's a 28-year-old tight end. It's not like he's going to fall off a cliff next year. He's going to still be producing, and this team is set up poorly enough everywhere else. Not to say that that's a bad thing because you still have the 24 first, but it's not going to win this year. So like me, I'm holding on to Mark Andrews. He's not going to matter for my tank. I'm going to pair up the Daniel Jones and Bryce Young, get another QB to pair with Kyler next year. I'm going to build through RBs through the draft more than likely. And then you need to upgrade the wide receiver room at some point too, because DJ Moore is in Siberia on that Chicago Bears team now. And Garrett Wilson, you hope that Aaron Rodgers can come back. But you need to build out some depth there. But it's start 9. No, I'm holding on to Mark Andrews.
I mean, I have nothing against Mark Andrews for what it's worth. It's just he's a guy that people will be interested in. That's the idea here, is to accumulate assets because that team is not winning. And with a non-tight end premium, I have absolutely. I mean, yes, it matters, but by the time that Mark Andrews is going to matter, he might be Travis Kelce's age. So I'm looking to acquire some additional assets, get that leverage, and then try and do some different things with my team.
So we're gonna hit this super chat from CLCF15. Thank you for the super chat, and then we're gonna pop over to your YouTube channel. Hey fellas, 12-team Superflex, start 9, PPR, no tight end premium. Should I send Waddle, Pitts, an early 24 first, which would be top 3, and a 25 first for Chase and Kyler? My QB room is Watson and Tua.
Man, that early 24 first top 3 part just
makes
so
this hard to trade
so difficult, because that pick alone is worth Chase. If that's true, like there's a chance that pick alone is Chase. And so I have to look at the other things of Waddle and Pitts, and I don't think that's enough to get me to the QB of Kyler, especially when your room is already Watson and Tua. I don't know. I think I'm holding on the other side, or I'm at least taking I'm probably just sticking with the 24 first side here, just because like I'm just gonna hold on to that pick. It's hard to get that pick off me right now.
Yeah, team context would definitely help me a little bit more here, knowing exactly where you sit. But like again, start 9 PPR. You do want hammers, and I do like Chase and Kyler. Just it does feel like a lot. Like if I could find a different pivot where I'm giving up Watson in this deal to acquire this, like I would take out some of those other picks. Like I think that would be a pivot I'd much rather entertain. Sure. Yeah, I don't think I can pull the trigger on that.
Yeah, it's like those firsts are padlocked. If they have a chance of being top 3 or 4, very very challenging. I hear you. Yeah, more contacts would be helpful, but it's a good trade, obviously.
Yeah, I think it would be fair either way. I don't think that's going to cause a ruckus either way. It's too big to not cause a ruckus, but I think it's fair, at least in its value.
For sure.
Guys, who runs your YouTube channel?
Do we point at each other here?
Yeah, like him maybe. No, I mean he posts everything. I do the kind of like stuff that's built up to get it to post version. Yep. So it's a combined effort. He does all of the posting there, and then I'll do kind of the stuff for like the thumbnails and maybe sometimes the descriptions and stuff, and some of the back end editing is more of what I do. But he'll do the actual posting and dropping. Actually,
before I stop sharing, let's just have this conversation real quick. Okay, so I figured out what you do. What was your goal for the channel? Because you play a lot of Dynasty, but it's a fantasy draft room. What's the ultimate goal for the channel?
ultimate goal is just to grow it. Like we it's a thing that we just have fun doing. We'd love to get to a monetization point, but I don't think at this point right now it's ever going to be like hey, we're just going to grind and do this eventually to quit our jobs and go full time. Like it is a thing that we love doing on the side, love playing Dynasty. We also have the pod version that we do on the Destination Devy radio feed. So it is there. It's something we love to grow, but it's a long-term growth thing here. We put out both Dynasty and redraft content, just keeping open-ended with fantasy draft room. So we'll kind of bounce around between everything, but it's just about giving out fantasy football content that we love doing.
Yeah, we'll hit 1 year of YouTube in October, because we started out as just doing podcasts. We ended up turning it into the YouTube side of things in October of last year. So it's actually been 1 year officially, like this couple weeks ago, that we started even recording together. So I think the big dream is still kind of to be determined. It's just, what kind of time can we dedicate to maximizing, our efforts in Destination Devy with the Overreaction podcast that drops on Tuesdays, and then also to the YouTube side.
Yeah, so let's just take a peek, and this is going to be a kind of a living, breathing little show for me as well. I'm doing one with Russ, Dynasty Outhouse, next week, but I'm very passionate about content creation, and I'm very obsessed with YouTube and all of the fun it brings us. But so yeah, I just want to go through, kind of just take a brief look at your channel. I'm not an expert. I'm learning something new every single day. We did manage to grow a 5-minute trade show to over 10K awesome subscribers now. So I guess I know a little bit, to be dangerous at least, but I'm just going to give my thoughts right off the bat. So 412 subscribers, 97 videos. So the thresholds for the YouTube partner program, which is basically, okay, you start getting paid for those ads that are shown in front of your videos. The cutoffs for that are 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time. Now, Cody and Chase shared their data with me before the show, and they already are over that 4,000 watch hour threshold. So that is positive, because lots of times 1,000 subscribers hits first, but you all of a sudden have a bunch of hours of watch time, and people are only watching 2 minutes of your 7-minute videos. So that is a very big positive. Looking at your homepage here, one thing you'll want to do is customize your homepage. So it's starting off on top with popular videos, but you can actually have it to where instead it's going to be showing your most recent videos up top. So you'd want to do that to make sure it's showing your most recent stuff. So there's just customization you can do in the back end with that quite easily. Okay, so let's go to your videos here. And I was talking to the guys before the show. And so we're looking at the last 3 here. We've got 35 views from this one 10 hours ago, 116 5 days ago, and then this 1.3 thousand view video 6 days ago. Starts of the week 2. Can you explain what happens with that video and why it is such an outlier on your data?
We recorded it on Saturday, and we dropped it same day. It was a drop midday on Saturday, and it feels like everyone's making start-sit decisions leading into Sunday. And so a lot of people are going to be dropping content on Sunday. So we figured, hey, why not midday Saturday, see what happens? And it took off. And again, both of those videos are videos that like are irrelevant after Sunday at 11 a.m. Right.
Sure.
Like, so the fact that we were able to get that within essentially like a 24 to 48 hour span was I think we were both kind of shocked. We're like, what happened here? Why did this hit the SEO here? Because we did the exact same thing for all of the other ones, as far as the ads, the tags, and everything like that. So it was very interesting to see how that turned out.
It's been the first Saturday drop we've done in a while, especially definitely during the first one that we've done during football season. So we shifted the time schedule around that we were going to do. Now we're dropping Friday, the one that we dropped today, and then we're dropping the second one on Saturday. So that way they have a little bit longer to breathe up until that noon kickoff. And so that's what I mean. Truthfully, I don't think we have much of a reason to explain why it kicked off as much as it did. Some of those videos, they just hit the SEO right, and they're just going to take off. And your next video will kind of do what it did today, and it only gives to 130 views. SEO is a wild place, and it kind of just matters when you drop. So maybe it's just trying to stick to that same window that we hit last week as far as the time of dropping.
I wouldn't be too married to that, because even though YouTube, they give you in YouTube Studio this like color coded thing. Dark purple is when your audience is online, light purple they're not. And they show you, yeah, that little heat check, and you're like, okay, like our top times honestly tend to be from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. almost every single day. And then, yeah, Saturday morning, sure, there's definitely a bump there, but it's pretty straightforward in terms of just being able to drop content in the mornings. Ideally, anytime between 9:30 and 11 is what I like to do anyway. And then getting it tweeted out before then. You may have just gotten, I don't want to say gotten lucky with that drop, but the whole thought that YouTube is like very, very SEO driven, and that you just jumped on some kind of algorithm, you should probably give yourself more credit. It might have also been just really good content, because ultimately that's how YouTube pushes your stuff. The better the videos are, the longer you watch them, the more the algorithm's going to push it out, right? Because they want eyeballs to stay on the platform as long as possible. So I wanted to pull up this video here, and this is here. Can you hear it without it too gross?
The 2023 NFL Draft.
Okay.
Carolina Panthers select.
So that counts down, as you can imagine, all the way down to 1. Okay. So I asked Cody and Chase can you see the screen here with the audience retention now? Can you see this one?
We're still on
share this tab and
yeah,
show. Okay. So if you're not watching, if you're listening on replay, what we're looking at is an audience retention graph. So it shows right at the start when someone clicks on and they start watching the video, how many people make it past the first 30 seconds is kind of the threshold that YouTube likes to let you know how you're doing. Their audience retention curve, as you can imagine, because of that intro, it's such a kick-ass intro, but because of that intro, only, I believe it was 37% of people are making it past the first 30 seconds. It's super sad to even say that, like I look at, I consume thousands and thousands of hours of digital like marketing content and stuff, and everybody says no intros. And that's something that we've always done right into the content. So thoughts on that? Would you be willing to just bail from your intro?
It's interesting. We actually do about half of our content on here cold intro. And we typically see roughly same, but it is still probably, even if we're going cold intro, there's, the introduction of speaking content, or the speaking intro of like, hey, we're here. This is what we're doing. It should more be a thing of just like, hey, what's your quarterback start of the week? Go. Like it probably should be that, even though I love the intro, like you put time into it and everything, but unless you're doing like premiere more so instead of just like an actual true drop, it's probably better meant for it just to be that, hey, let's go. Like we did here tonight. It's, hey, start off of trade, go. What do you think?
Yeah, and there's definitely a balance. Sorry, go ahead, Chase.
No, I was just to say I agree. Like I think we're both open to learning more about how the content side of things can improve, and the fact that it is a roll in right into what people are looking for, right? Like they don't have to skim through and find, okay, who are they actually starting and sitting. It's like, let's just jump right in. Here's our start for the week of week 3. I think that's something we definitely need to do.
Yeah, because even so this one right here I was looking at earlier, you can see your video here, right? So where you actually started talking about the content was at the 218-minute mark. Okay. Now I will say that you guys have had some explaining to do to talk about like what this series is, so I can respect that. Basically, just watch out for the intro, because even us, we go right into it. We still lose anywhere from 23 to 26% of the audience right off the bat. They click in there, even though we go right into a dynasty trade, they're gone. So I guarantee if you were to adjust your intro, you'd see better audience retention.
Yeah, I think you're always going to drop that first little bit because of that. Like you only have 5 seconds to click out of the video before the next one starts up. Yep. So most people, it's just like they're rolling in from the previous video, and it's just, I don't want to watch the second one. I missed the timer. Let me click out.
So let's do this. Let's go back to the, sorry, I can mute this now, but I want to go back to your home page and click on the one where you got a lot of action. Okay, but we're going to look at the bones of your video this time. So You were talking about SEO, keyword tagging and stuff. I see you have this long description. At least you're using similar accounts. Okay. This down here at the bottom, we could talk about that offline. But yeah, you've got some you've got a lot of keywords in here. You can definitely call this some keyword stuffing action. Yeah, we can chat, but get the bones of the channel set up with the descriptions. What I wanted to see though is the comments. So one thing I think we were good at right off the bat was responding to all the comments and responding with questions. You guys clearly are responding to your commenters, because that honestly is gold, right? Those are the people who are most engaged with your content. They're watching it, they're going down, they're typing something in, and everybody feels really cool when a creator responds to them. Right? It's just like natural ego stuff, right? So we'll go back to your homepage, and then we're going to take a couple more trades, and then we'll call it a night after that. But let me go back to your homepage here. It's so weird with the double screen, the one screen. I gotta get better with multiple monitors here. Okay, so we are at your back at your homepage here. This about me, this is something we haven't updated either. So one-stop shop. Maybe you guys have, but we're doing mock drafts galore, dynasty startups. I haven't updated in forever. I think ours says we focus on 3 forms of content, like individual player evaluation, just a bunch of trash, but it's stuff that you shouldn't just disregard. Community tab. This is what I talk about a lot. Community tab is a good place to start posting stuff, and community tab can also be found on YouTube search as well. Now with you guys, what I would recommend with the 416 subscribers, if I were back at 416 subscribers and had already breached the 4,000 hours of watch time, I'd be really getting after it with shorts. That's something I had wished I started a lot earlier, because the reach is just incredible that you can get with shorts. Chase is smiling. What's up?
It's just funny seeing these old shorts that we did.
Yeah. Oh, they're so
season.
old.
It's
I
just
pulled them
like,
up,
oh
and it was like
my God.
Swift. It was like Swift versus
Tom
versus
Brady
something
or a
another.
second. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Good
So
times.
I would definitely recommend getting into shorts. And there's all sorts of AI programs now where you can literally upload your most recent video. It can pull out the things that seem to be the most valuable content, chop it up for you literally into 30-second clips, throw some captions on it, and send it out. So I would hammer the shorts if I were you.
I think I saw that they're actually even doing that in StreamYard now, like an AI tool built into StreamYard to do it. So yeah, definitely a thing that I've thought about here recently, getting back into.
Yeah, it's a grind though, man. Honestly,
it is.
like, yeah,
it doesn't.
People don't.
It never feels worth it for putting in as much time as you do to create that like 50-second piece, but the actual like sub and everything probably is.
Yeah. So we'll hit. Actually, let me do this. I'll pull up our channel just so we can look back at where we were. Hold on one second. I'm gonna go all the way back to our oldest videos and talk crap. Sorry, Ray, about us. Okay, let's move to share screen. Dynasty Trades in 5. Okay, we're back here now. So we're going to videos, but instead of the latest, so you see how we have it set up. The latest videos are up at the top, and then we have all of our live streams. But let's go to our oldest videos. Look at that, Miles Sanders right there. It'll be 2 years, October 6th. But look at these thumbnails. They're so gross, right? Terrible. At first, I didn't think you could use a player picture. I thought I'd be like hit by copyrights. All I had to do was just look around YouTube and see that everybody's taking pictures. It's not like everybody's paying for it. But you can see what I'm getting at here is how few views we had, right? Back here, 182, 412. They started ramping up, and we had the luxury of, Shane and Scott being my co-hosts. That obviously helps. They have the juice in the industry, but just know, I mean, look at how little these views are, like 122 here. Start tightening up the thumbnails. Your thumbnails are probably already better than ours. Just fucking grind and just effing grind and get in. Oh boy, let's get into a trade. That's my home apparently. Okay. All right, let's get into a trade. Thanks for doing that with me though, guys. That was
Thank you, sir. Love it.
Yeah, we appreciate the feedback and insights, man. Like, it's definitely something that we need as hopefully growing content creators. So appreciate all your insights and feedback on this.
I'm always around to help and wrap YouTube. That's for sure. Uh, yeah, you see this? Is this a streaming YouTube's steaming tutorial? Audience retention may slip soon. Yeah, exactly. Like when I look back at the audience retention for this, it'll definitely hit a drop once I start going over YouTube. But whatever. Okay, so let's go up to. I hadn't starred one previously. I see Shane talking about what he does for roster reviews, and it's yeah, it's a little alarming for the youngsters in the crowd. Billy Logan, 12-team Superflex, start 10 PPR, rebuilding but 2-0. Stafford, Mack, Stroud, Bryce, Tannehill, Justin Jefferson, Godwin, Michael Thomas, Nico Collins, Cortland Sutton, Tutu Atwell, Pollard, ETN, and then just names a bunch more. Not sure if I should tank since I am 2-0. Okay. Look at this team though. Like, should it like lean into this tank?
Is this
No,
tank?
it's hard to.
Stafford, Tannehill, Mack. Like, you've got the two young quarterbacks, but everything else on this team is kind of ready to go, other than the definite punt at tight end that we've done here. You got Pollard and ETN. You got Jets, Godwin, Thomas, Collins. Like, you've obviously found some gold with Collins, but this wasn't a team that was going to go down to the number one on the team. I think kind of like before, This is a retool team. It may not be. It's probably not going to win this year, but this is the team you start trying to tear off of some of those MT Staffords, Tannehills, and you just try to get this team in the best position for next year.
Yeah, it feels like a team that hasn't fully leaned into the rebuild. Like they wanted to rebuild, and they're like, yeah, but I really like these core assets that I have, and they are. You have some good ones, like no doubt about it. You do need to figure out if you can find a buyer for Stafford or for package him with a Bryce or a Mac. Like you have some young pieces here for sure. But in a start 10, like I would definitely try doing a little bit more of trying to pivot off maybe again running backs. Like, do you actually need them? I wouldn't try pushing in necessarily. I don't know what kind of pick accumulation you've done. So if you do have a bunch of other picks like first already, then maybe you do try to make a move. Maybe you can pivot and go win now. But yeah, I'd be looking to move off of ETN while his value is still high and move off those running backs.
So I'm going to read one directly from our Discord here. So this is from Koogski. It is a 12-team Superflex start 11 2.0 for tight ends in a year one punt with Allen, Hurts, and AR. Nice. I have all my own picks plus an extra 24 first that's tracking to be non-playoff and 2 extra 25 firsts and seconds. Is this kind of consolidation at QB in a tank year less risky or more? Moves? So 12-team Superflex start 11 2.0 for tight ends as Allen, Hurts, and AR. And has picks.
That's where you want to hold your value. Like, no, that's not risky.
Right.
That's the most secure that you can build your team for a future in a tank. Like you've got three assets that outside of what people, I don't know anymore though, since we're so reactionary, man, people were willing to sell Josh Allen for Trevor Lawrence after week 1 this year. So I don't know specifically if it's going to hold, but outside of any position other than maybe Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, those quarterbacks are the most stable assets that you can have. This is the way you want to tank. You hope that you have dog water at running back. You hope you have a couple of stud wide receivers and maybe your tight end stud yet. You probably don't have it yet, but no, this is done right, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. You have secure assets at the quarterback position. It's not like it's Justin Fields out there. Like all of these guys are going to maintain. Knock on wood, even if there was an injury to happen to one of these guys, I mean, they're going to be fine for your dynasty value and dynasty assets. And if anything, it gives you options in the offseason to trade one of them if you want, as you have a little bit more information. And you can make a pivot to a down tier and again, accumulation of assets. Can you get that leverage? Can you get yourself a stud wide receiver to continue your build? So I love it. Absolutely love it. And I think you've invested in the right ones. A lot of times you see people that invest in like Watson, Fields, and Tua. And it's like, I got 3 good quarterbacks. It's like, do you? Like, do you? So, this one I'm fine with, man. Like, I think that's a great start in year 1.
So this is such a classic one that we see these days. I guess this is a deeper format. Also from the Discord, 12-team Superflex, start 12 PPR, give Puka, get a likely playoff 24 first, 24 third, and 25 third. Are you guys taking any first for Puka right now? Did we determine that earlier in lots of formats at least?
Almost any format, yeah. As long as it's almost any format as long as it's not the super shallow ones where we only talk about hammers. Yep, you're taking any first, and you're just getting this is even more than we were talking about the first trade with. It's just extra on the top. Yeah.
It's the ROI. It's what you got Puka for, and you're just capitalizing. You take that first and run. Do I hope for the best that Puka becomes Amon-Ra? Sure, absolutely. And that is an outcome. So you could miss out on value, but in the end, like, you're going to get really close to that kind of value for a guy that may potentially have regression. So take it and run.
Okay, and I should have addressed the crowd this whole time. 130 eyeballs in here. 130 people watching us this evening on a Friday. Thanks so much for joining. Hit that like if you wouldn't mind, and check out the @Fantasy Draft Room on YouTube. I see a couple people in the comments said they already subscribed. There we go, boys. So I wanted to pull this up for from Nick. He got in here early as well and dropped a question. So how do you balance depth versus selling off assets you don't really quote unquote need on a contender? If a guy like James Conner is your RB3, do you sell for picks since he's a fringe flex, or keep for depth? This is something that's tough, selling from your contenders. Go ahead, Chase, or Cody, rather.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll take it. This is fully league market dependent. This is one where I can't give you the answer. You need to know this one for yourself. Unfortunately, I can give you the guidelines to go on, but you need to have a league that's active. I'm perfectly fine selling off James Conner when he's my RB3 because I'm not starting him more than likely. I'd rather start the wide receivers in the flex unless it's like a standard league, which isn't even standard anymore. But no, I'd rather sell it off now because I don't need him right now. I'd rather put it into liquid capital. But on a contender, you need to be able to reinvest it into another piece. You need to have teams that are actually willing to sell later on down the line. If it's just a stagnant league, then you do need the depth. So I'm not selling him off there. It's a league dependent one for me.
Well put. I have nothing to add to that. That's exactly how I would proceed with that one too. So love it, Cody.
That's it.
It's funny. We think so much alike a lot of times. So it's like when he says something, it's like, yep, I got nothing to add there. Nailed it.
Yeah, no, we'll hit one more here from Eric, who got in early as well. 10-team Superflex, half PPR, start 12. Trade Baker in a 24 second for Keenan Allen and a 24 fourth. The team I'm trading with has Keenan, Pollard, and Trash, is 0-2, and I already have their first. My team is middle of the pack.
I don't know. No, like
you're not trading Baker in a super flex for Keenan Allen,
and a second. Like I feel like you're basically trading Baker for a fourth here at best. That's what it feels like. So
it feels like we're trying to leverage like the pick of the second is going to be high. I could care less where the second lies. It doesn't matter if it's the 201 to me. Like sure, it holds more value than the 212, but at that point, like the back end of the first round picks are basically seconds anyway, in terms of the value that they net. So like, I don't care about the second at all. This is trading away Baker and Keenan Allen. I would swap for the second straight up. And then I'm selling Baker for a fourth. It feels like, like Chase said. So no, like you can't replace the quarterback ever, even though most people don't think that there's long-term security with Baker. If he keeps playing this way, he could still be a starter next year too. So no, I don't see where you're gaining any value on trying to leverage the second here.
Yeah. I feel like you lose that. And then you're also potentially giving them additional points to not be as bad as they possibly could be. Like it sounds like they're trying to sell off Keenan as well. Like,
it seems like Eric's being very considerate of the other league mate, right? And needs to consider the fact that he's going to be getting Keenan Allen on a middle of the pack team at the end of the day. Like trading Baker, sure, that's one thing, but it may not be the right trade.
Yeah, I'd explore something else to do with this one if I'm trying to move Baker.
Agree to see other people. Guys, that's all. Oh, it is not all. We got Mick Rib with an inbox offer. Have to hit this. And those in the crowd, don't be honest with inbox offers. They have to actually be them. 12 teams, start 10 PPR, give Debo, get a 24 first and 24 second.
Unless it's the championship team by a mile, he's gone. Yep, he's a replaceable wide receiver, unfortunately, at this point. Like, he's going to score points, but not in a range that's going to be top 12 ever probably again with Brandon Ayuk there. Maybe you're trying to play a long game, but Debo's now 28 with injury histories as well. No, you take a first and a second and run.
Smash it.
Yeah, this feels like you're capitalizing on what Debo just did on Thursday. So, yep, take it and run.
Smash it. Guys, that was a lot of fun. Let's hear a sign off from you guys. Let's hype yourselves up. Where do they subscribe to? Go ahead. Talk about your YouTube channel and all the content creation you do.
All right. So you can check us out on YouTube at the Fantasy Draft Room. Make sure you do subscribe to that. Check us out there. We are in Destination Devy Discord all day, every day. You got to check us out in there. So destinationdevy.com. We drop our podcast on Tuesdays. We are the Overreaction Podcast. Go check out Cody losing his mind on Tuesday this week. It was a fun one. So yeah, we get the instant reaction from the week, talk about dynasty strategy, trades, things that are going on, market movers, and really dive deep into some of those conversations. And discuss whether people are reacting or overreacting. You can find us on Twitter. Cody is at Cody Smith TFDR. I guess I'm sorry, X. and I am at Trophy Chase TFDR on Twitter. Definitely give us a follow. We're fun people. So that's pretty much anything you want to add. Yeah, sometimes,
just go follow and subscribe. If you want that instant access to us, though, it's through Discord. I'm in there probably. I can't talk during the work days, unfortunately, but I'm probably in that Discord 50-ish hours a week during the day that I'm just in lurk and in chat, and then after work for another 4 hours a day. So this is my life. Reach out to me anytime you want. I will be there with a dynasty question or answer, or any fantasy football, anything else. Life too. I don't have much life experience. I'm young, but I'll try to answer that too.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, I enjoyed this, guys, and thanks again for letting me talk about your YouTube channel. And yeah, it was a good time. We'll do it again. It's your coworker. We're coworkers now, right? Colleagues?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Both partner with Destination Devy. Let's go. All right,
Thanks
I'm
for
gonna end
having
the
us
stream,
on,
guys.
man. Appreciate
you are most welcome. See everyone. Bye.